What's up, everybody? How's it going? This is Alex, you from the Ragin Nation. Today is January 2nd, 2021. Happy New Year. I hope everybody survived 2020. The first thing I'm going to do on this channel is put out my thoughts for Transformers Earthrise Season 2 on Netflix. I'm about to check it out. Really excited about it. Really looking forward to seeing what kind of direction they're going in. And also the adventures of the Autobots. What's going to happen to them. And I never read any spoilers, so I think I'm in for a surprise. I'm really looking forward to seeing what new characters they're going to be putting out. So just stay tuned, because in a few seconds, I'm going to put out my thoughts. Going to check it out right now. I just finished episode 1, and first thing I want to say is it is great to see this series start up again. I really missed the depth of this style of storytelling for Transformers because there is so much going on here. Let's just recap on this, on this episode and things that really stood out to me. First of all, we see I wouldn't say a power struggle between Jetfire and Elita 1, but it's really cool to see the two different directions that they're going in, because one of them wants to free Decepticons. The other one feels like, okay, this is wrong because these guys are going to come after us once they have their chance, the opportunity to take them out, right? So, but Elita 1 is following more of Optimus's his values. So that's where you see that these two different characters really have conflicting ideals. And that is really cool because it just creates so much more depth to their characters and the story. To top things off, now we see a more human side of Megatron. Now that's something that we've never seen before. And I thought it was such an interesting concept when they revealed that, well, Megatron thrives on war. And since the war is over, there's nothing really going on. Then what is he there to think about? What is going through his head? We're seeing a more human side. There's more emotions involved. And like I said before, that's never been explored ever. So that was really cool to see. It's just so interesting to see him lacking energy. You know, lacking in that energy inside, to not like actual physical energy, but like just the mental energy to really continue moving forward. And then he visits Sector 12 to see what they're all about, to make the difficult decision of having to shut that sector down. And it was so funny when he finished visiting them, and then he drives off, and then he looks away, and then he sees them waving at. I busted out laughing because I was like, okay, visit again, we'll be right here. And then I knew he was gonna do something. I didn't know he was gonna like do that. I thought it was more gonna be like the place just gets blown up so that the resources are no longer used, right? But he just sucked the life force out of them. And this episode, like all the other ones, is pretty action packed. There's a lot of fighting throughout, and I like that it involves this elite. I don't want to say elite, but a small group of Autobots and their adventures, and the things that they had to go through. Last thing we saw is them getting caught. So let's see what happens next. So I'm going to watch episode 2. Episode 2 is complete. This one has a little less fighting, but that's still okay. Between episode 1 and 2, I liked episode 1 more, but episode 2 was still pretty interesting. You know what this reminded me of? One of the episodes in either season 3 and 4 of G1, where their ship just keeps on going to different planets. They stay on there, they do some stuff, and then they fly off. Because that's essentially what happened in this episode. It felt a little bit incomplete, but it kind of goes without saying considering this is a continuing episodic series. Anyways, what happened is that they went on planet Char, and automatically I was just thinking that, okay, are we going to see Junkions? But maybe we'll see them later on. But then we ended up seeing the ship that it reminded me of the Junkions, because in the 1986 movie we see that spiral-looking ship, and I thought that we're going to see Junkions. But anyways, we ended up seeing the Quintessons, and I kind of knew we were going to see the Quintessons because when those mercenaries ended up on the Ark, we heard 5 different voices, right? And what was interesting was that we heard a female voice, and then it turns out that the fifth face of the Quintesson was a female one. And I thought that they were going to reveal more with the Quintessons, but they kind of just came and left. Maybe we'll see more of them in the future, but it was kind of just an interesting teaser for either what's to come or something totally empty. At least maybe just a little bit of backstory. So I was hoping for a little bit more out of the Quintesson. How can I say it? Quintesson. I don't want to say adventure. Encounter. That's the word I was looking for. I was expecting a little bit more from the Quintesson encounter, but it was really just show up and then leave because they got rescued. Oh yeah, by the way, there's this whole theme of being rescued going on here. The Decepticons that Chromia and Leader 1 Jetfire and Red Alert rescued ended up rescuing them. That was a bit of a surprise. And then, of course, the mercenaries, or rather the space pirates, the Cybertronian pirates that hijacked the Ark, they ended up rescuing Prime because there was no deal, which was totally ironic because his name is Double Dealer. There was no deal between the Quintessons and then Double Dealer. And then we get, what was also interesting is that real names get revealed. Elita 1's real name, or rather her other name, is Ariel, and the Quintesson's name is Decius. So I was thinking, oh, is this going to be a brand new character? What a cool name. So it ends up Decius' name of the Quintessons. Which is also kind of weird because the female Quintesson ended up controlling the tentacles and ended up cutting off the faces of the other 4 Quintessons. That was a little bit trippy. But still an interesting episode. I'm really curious to see where this ends up going. So I'm looking forward to episode 3. By the way, I really thought that it was the ultimate doom of Jetfire, Red Alert, and Chromia and Leader 1. Because season 1 was so full of surprises. People just died left and right. So I kind of felt a little bit surprised that they got rescued, but it made sense because of their deeds that they did earlier. But I was prepared for their death because things like that did happen in season 1. Anyways, looking forward to season 3. Episode 3 is complete. Of course, the big highlight of this episode is Scorponok. Didn't expect to see that because when I saw something moving around in the dark, I thought it was some kind of like snake Decepticon, but it was in fact Scorponok, and that was a pretty cool fight. I like that it went from fighting his scorpion mode, and then later on to his hulking robot mode. So that was really, really cool. And, it's cool that I'm starting to figure out the pattern as to how they decide which Autobots and Decepticons get to die. And basically, it usually ends up being these Autobots or Decepticons that didn't actually appear in G1. Like, less beloved characters, more characters that they just kind of introduced for this one. Because even though you saw them survive in Season 1, I'm talking about these new characters, they end up becoming toast in another episode or a future episode later on. Because I did have a little bit of an attachment to, I don't even know his name, Six Gun, or I don't know. Basically the red and white and black looking Autobot that looks like he's made up of Metroplex's guns. Anyways, when he was toast, I was like, no! Because I was kind of invested. I thought he was part of the team, but then they ended up taking him out. And, I'm really starting to get used to the different voice actors. Because at first in season 1, I was really put off by I was okay with Megatron's voice, but Shockwave, Soundwave, and especially Optimus's voice, it felt a little bit weird, like very weird. I wasn't used to it, but I'm used to it now, so I'm okay. I think the voice acting is actually pretty good. Now, what else do I want to talk about? I think that's really about it. Scorponok was really the main highlight of this episode. This one's not as exciting, but it is interesting. It's interesting to see all the different reveals, the revelations, because they ended up finding a spaceship in the middle of a space bridge, so that was kind of cool. Bumblebee becomes an honorary Autobot finally. Oh yeah, by the way, this reminded me of the movie because, like the Bumblebee movie, because Shockwave sends out a message saying, "Hey, come to Kaon. We're going to we would like to see all the Decepticons there." And then it reminds me of John Cena's character who says, "They're literally named Decepticons." He's out there to deceive you guys. So, anyways, there you have it. I'm moving on to episode 4 now. Episode 4 is complete. And I'll be completely honest, this episode is my least favorite. It was mostly about Megatron and Optimus and Scorponok. He kind of just like, they kill him and it comes back to life. And, we've seen that kind of gimmick many times. Um, I mean, they fought Scorponok in the. It almost feels like the whole episode was just fighting Scorponok, and the other half of Megatron and Optimus's what is it exposition. That's what it was. So, I mean, I guess it's needed for what's to come later on, but this one was probably the least interesting for me. So, I mean, I don't have much more to say than that. It was my least favorite. But I will say this. I will say that, you know how I said that, I have gotten used to the voice acting, especially Optimus's, because that one was the weirdest one, but I actually finally got used to it. I take that back because there's a lot of Optimus fighting in this one, and whenever he needs to raise his voice, he doesn't sound like Optimus at all. He just sounds like some grunt. He's like, Optimus, Ironhide, fire the shuttle. It doesn't sound like Optimus at all. But when he's just having a regular conversation, when he is yelling, he does sound like Optimus. So, but this one involved a lot of fighting on his part, and it was also a little bit weird. It was a little bit weird when I saw the Decepticons start shooting at Scorponok, and it's just kind of like, where'd you guys come from? And only where did you guys come from? But why are you guys shooting another Decepticon? And then to top things off, Megatron had every opportunity to blow Optimus away, and then he slowly picks up a gun and points it at him. Like, okay, that was also a little bit weird. I mean, did Megatron not see that? It was literally in slow motion. Like, he could have stopped that. I actually thought that Megatron was going to pull a 1986 move and just slam two fists at him, and that's that. But yeah, they did something else. Anyways, I'm gonna move on to episode 5 now. Episode 5 is complete. Man, this was a pretty loaded episode. This one was less action packed. In fact, there was really no fighting in this episode with just a brief fighting between Megatron and Galvatron. But this one's all about some really interesting exposition. This was kind of like build up or a precursor to what's to come in the final and 6th episode. And well, first of all, get this. I mean, we got to see Alpha Trion, Skylynx, Galvatron, Nemesis Prime, Unicron, all in the same episode. All the big players for this, for the bigger story. And it was all about like flashbacks and lore and backstory and history, and with a little bit of foreshadowing for what's to come. And that was all very, very interesting. And it, we've already seen what happens in the 1986 movie, so they're not going to repeat that. But it's so cool to see them foreshadow what's to come, and also bring a little bit of a teaser for what's to come much further on, like the whole Nemesis Prime tease. So that was really, really interesting. So now I'm really interested in seeing what they're going to bring, not only in the next episode, but season 3. Because this is after all the trilogy, so I think there's one final season left. But in any case, I'm really liking where this is going. Sure, it's we're on episode 5, and it's got its like ups and downs, but this is getting interesting. So we're off to the final season now, final finale, episode finale, or season finale, final episode. Wow, that was crazy. That was one hell of an episode. If I had to liken G1 episode 1 to Star Wars, episode 6 of season 2 Earthrise is Rogue One. You know what I'm saying? Because that was pretty much it. This was pretty much the prequel to G1 episode 1, but then again, after everything that happened, it leads us to, I guess this is what we're going to call Kingdom. This is the Kingdom series. That's episode 3, because it does there's still one more chapter before we get to G1, and that is the whole Beast Wars aspect of it, which is, I guess they're calling Kingdom now. So that was a pretty cool episode. We got to see a lot, and when Megatron took the matrix of leadership, I was thinking, oh, okay, he's got to get it back. He's got to get it back. But how is he going to get it back? There's so little time before the end of the episode, and then we're already getting to Earth. So that was pretty crazy. That I was pretty engaged with this episode. This one was pretty awesome. And now we're gonna move on to Kingdom. I'm really looking forward to that. Now I'm really impressed with how they're setting everything up, and I would love to say that I really like this canon. Some people might not be as into it, maybe because of the animation style and how it's so different from G1, but I actually really like this. I like the storytelling style, I like the direction, I like that how there's more depth to it, a lot of history, a lot of backstory, a lot of lore, and it feels like I'm gonna go with that. This is the canon of G1. Like this is true canon. So I'm gonna go with this. So I'm really liking this. I cannot wait for Kingdom season 3. This would probably be the final season, and that's that. And so I think I like I think I like season 1 more, but season 2 was definitely great for storytelling. So really good story development. Anyways, that's all I got to say in this web series. I really enjoyed, or this episode, this video. I really enjoyed watching Earthrise, and I'm excited for the next season. Not sure when it's going to come up. Probably 6 months from now. I'm guessing summertime, because summertime was when season 1 came out, Siege. So now it's winter. We're getting Earthrise, and then finally in summertime we're going to get Kingdom. My name's Alex Yu. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace.